Boom. Whoo! It's that time. About to be that time.
Very soon.
About to be that time, man. Man, is this the time that you start watching basketball games, or you gave up on basketball?
Low-key gave up on basketball. This time I'm gonna really start going back watching college games.
Over here wearing Laker hats, talking about you gave up on basketball. Come on, man. That's crazy. That's blasphemy. No, it's fine. Make sure to clock in, like the thumbs, man. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Here we go.
The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
One of them hits now. Heard back from Earth, we just shot a few of my shits down. It's safe to say I'm totally pissed. Wow, my cloaking devices just malfunction. Guess it's time for a sit down. This is the problem I got with humans, mostly the common man. Constantly fucking with energy they don't understand. Always thinking they got the upper hand. The G-forces for my maneuvers can snap your spine like a rubber band. I shouldn't waste my time, they ain't half as nice. Put a Red Bull in your coffin so your ghost can have wings in the afterlife. Let's rock and roll like a belly dancer's rhinestone. It was my idea to shape the pineal gland like a pine cone. My thought thoughts create hurricanes, tornadoes, and cyclones. A punch for me is like an avalanche of granite and limestone. You live here, but now this is my home. I neuralize both your retinas, you wake up staring at the screen of your iPhone. Confused by the light plus the high tone. And now we connected from the microchip I placed next to your thigh bone. It's hard to understand cause you're mind blown, but I gotta cut communication. Your government just scrambled they spy drones.
That voice speaking Sumerian, the oldest language in human history. I can't explain it.
We back. We are back for another edition of Around the Shield. Y'all already know, you already see it, man. We got the Severe Raider. Obviously, myself, PharoahNFL. Big Mike is out this week, but the show must go on. But we got a lot to talk about, man. Hey, look, it's off-season. It's the off-season for Raider fans. It's NFL playoffs going on. Hopefully one day, the Raiders will be a part of that. But as of right now, the offseason is where Raider fans get excited, especially this offseason, because there's so much that the Raiders, so many things that can happen as far as, you know, who the head coach could be, the GM. Obviously, free agency is, you know, a few months away, the draft, all that good stuff. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about all that. But today we'll focus more on the GM and the head coaching search update and what's been talking about today. What Raider Nation is talking about today, or this week, I should say. Before we get into the conversation, don't forget to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You'll be seeing this on all of our platforms. So if you haven't already, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Hey, Severe, man, what's going on, man? How you been?
Yeah, man. Hey, well, I'm on the same type of time everybody else is on, man. Just waiting patiently for this GM and this coach candidate to be finalized, man. Can't wait till we actually have, you know, an answer in terms of that. And we've heard some interesting news the past few days, man, that I'm sure we're gonna talk about on the show.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I mean, as of right now, you know, the Raiders are kind of focused on setting up visits with, you know, the GMs. I think as of today, they've interviewed Robert Saleh. I know they're going to interview a few other guys too as well. I didn't see Todd Monken part of the interview. I tried to confirm that with Albert Breer himself, but he didn't name the Raiders as a visit that's been set up with Todd Monken. I know the Raiders, they've requested to interview him, but they haven't scheduled that. That would be interesting. I think that's a sleeper head coach. Kenan, I know you're not. I'm not sure how you feel about Todd Monken. I mean, a lot of people kind of been talking about either the Tampa Bay Bucks OC Liam Cohen, who had a long interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kind of makes me think maybe he might be the guy over there. If he is, that's one step closer to Ben Johnson. One step closer. I'm just saying. The Raiders also recently, they interviewed assistant GM for the New York Giants, Brandon Brown. A lot of people like him. They've, you know, seen him in Hard Knocks and seen his insight about players around the league, and he seems like, you know, possible option at a GM. But what I like is, man, we've talked about this time and time again, is the Raiders are casting a wide net on their search for a GM and head coach. They are not limiting themselves to a just handful or just a couple of guys that, you know, that they've circled and said, hey, you know, these are going to be the guys that we interview, these guys that we're going to consider. They're actually looking left, they're looking right, they're looking up, they're looking down. They're not limiting themselves, which I like, because then you can pick a lot of these GM's brains and see what they, you never know. They might be pleasantly surprised by someone that they interview and be like, you know what, it's not what we thought going in, and might be the guy at GM. You know what I mean? Who knows? But what's your take on the Raiders search so far and how they're going about it?
I mean, I think it's interesting. You know, I think it's good because they've attacked it from a lot of different angles, right? It's a diverse array of candidates, guys that are former OCs, guys that are former DCs, that are some are current OCs, some are current DCs, some guys that are former head coaches. You know, so you got some older guys that have head coaching experience, some older guys that don't have head coaching experience, some younger guys that have head coaching experience. So I think it's good, man. As you stated, the Raiders cast a wide net, and a lot of times, there are going to be multiple qualified candidates for a particular job. But if you want to ensure that you got the best candidate for that particular job, it's important that you talk to as many of the potential candidates as possible. And that's what the Raiders have been doing. So it's not something that we have necessarily done in the past. So, this method, I think this is the most intelligent way to go about doing things.
And I think a big influence, I'm sure the Raiders kind of went into it, wanting to find out who their head coach and GM, and maybe that was part of their process to begin with. But I think a big influence on this search is coming from Jed Hughes, because I could just read a little excerpt from an interview that he had a few years back, because he's been around. He's been around for a while as a head coach. Man, he was a former linebacker coach for Chuck Noll, which is crazy. That's he's old school. He's been around the game, and now he's a top, executive head honcho. Like, man, this dude he's that guy. When teams need to look for or identify a GM or a coach, he's a guy that a lot of the teams kind of like hire and help them, whether it's in college or in the NFL. A lot of his biggest highlights, he's had other. So a lot of people, I know initially when we first found out, we were like, oh man, he helped Andy Reid go to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll going to who is a candidate for the Raiders. So there's a connection there. Helped Pete Carroll and John Snyder go to the Seattle Seahawks. We all know how successful that was. And then Jim Harbaugh go to Michigan. Those are like one of his biggest, I would say, like hires. And then, other semi-notable, like he had Bill O'Brien going to the Texans. So it wasn't that bad, but it's not as successful. Successful as like, Andy Reid going to the Chiefs. Like, so imagine the possibilities with the Raiders and who he can identify and hopefully bring in. And Tom Brady also helping and getting the coach in. I know everybody's been talking about Ben Johnson. So far, all we've been hearing is Ben Johnson is, Ian Rappaport confirmed. Like it's all signs are kind of pointing that the Raiders obviously are going to be going after Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson is definitely considering the Raiders as a top landing spot for a head coach. So. We'll keep an eye on it. It's some time that needs to go by. I mean, basically the Lions would have to be eliminated. When the Lions season is over, that's when we'll find out if Ben Johnson is going to be head coach of the Raiders. That's when we're going to find out, to be honest with you. Another way of finding out is if some of these other teams start hiring coaches. Like if the Jaguars hire a coach, if the Bears end up hiring a coach, then it starts narrowing down, the landing spots. The other wild card situation that we haven't talked about, I think someone mentioned this earlier in the week when we did the 50-50 show. Make sure to tune in every Tuesday. Is there's a possibility that Ben Johnson can go back and coach for the Lions. A possibility. Yeah. He could be like, you know what? I'm gonna take my ball and go home. I don't like the options. I don't like not having a quarterback, whatever the case may be. I don't like the plan. I'm not comfortable with what's being told or whatever the case may be. He's done it before. He literally is ignored. And depending on how, the season goes with the Lions, that might influence it a little bit. I'm not sure. Or it could also be the options that are, at head coach. Maybe I remember. This is during the season. I remember during the season with the Bengals kind of having an up and down season. I'm like, man, is this where the head coach for the Bengals, does he get fired? And if he gets fired, then that's do we even talk about Ben Johnson? It's like there's no point. Like that's an easy. Every top coach, any coach would want to go to Bengals. Exactly. And coach Joe Burrow. Like top 5 guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Arguably top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been the case. I mean, what's your take on the Ben Johnson and all this noise that's happening right now?
I mean, I think it's interesting. You know, I hope it's not a leverage play. You know, I wanna believe that it's all real. We've gotten several reports from several different sources, several different beat writers, you know, several different insiders saying that it is legit. And he, you know, some have gone as far as to say he is, you know, kind of the leader in the clubhouse to land this job. So, like I said, I hope it's legit. We kind of we know how the media works, how agents and team officials manipulate the media, you know, for their own, you know, for their own purposes, right? You know, sometimes it's to throw people off the scent of something. Sometimes it's to extract money somewhere else. So I hope it's not that. I don't think it's that, but like I said, you know, we've kind of seen how this story plays out before. But if we're able to land him, man, I think that is major for us. This would be the first time in a long time where, you know, we were able to get one of those top young guys in the league, the most sought after person, you know, in the open market right now. And if we were able to get him and bring him in as our head coach, I think that kind of signifies that the tide is beginning to turn a little bit for our franchise. So I think that'll be major for us.
So going back to what I was saying earlier about Jed Hughes and why, you know, he's having a huge impact on this search. This is a quote. This is a while ago. This is years ago, but this is how long he's been around and how he's been helping teams around the NFL over the years on getting a guy and identifying a head coach or GM in the building. This is a quote from this article. He says, "The biggest mistake organizations make when hiring someone in any position is assuming that there's only one type of individual that is suited for that particular role. There's certainly a common denominator we search for in a top candidate: intellect, high emotional intelligence, charisma, but none of these traits guarantee success. But you have to ask yourself why someone is a candidate for the position in the first place. What are the qualitative and quantitative factors that you believe will make them prosper within your organization at that moment in time?" So going back to the Raiders search, Raiders are casting a wide net and they're interviewing, like I said, so many different candidates. A lot. That's probably why, you know, Jed Hughes probably has an impact, probably influence on that as well, because that's pretty much his logic is like, look, there's more than one person that can take this job. Early on, we heard Pete Carroll can be a possibility. I personally don't want to go in that direction just because the age, for me, it's just like, come on, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But if they identify that he's the guy, they have a plan in place where there's a young up and coming coach, which, you know, Pete Carroll has put good staffs over the years. Maybe, hey, there might be something to it. There might be something there where the Raiders maybe can make that decision. But I personally rather go with more of like a long-term answer at head coach. And if that's Ben Johnson, that's Liam Cohen, you know, whatever the head coach out there. I mean, is there anybody else that we haven't mentioned? I know the offensive-minded coaches. Is there anybody else that we haven't mentioned? I know I mentioned Todd Monken. Is there anybody that you're considering that head coach, like, that no one is talking about? Because the Raiders always surprise us. When we think they're going left, they go right. When we think they're going right, they go left. Like, it's just, they always tend to surprise us. Maybe this time around we get what we want as far as who the guy, like as far as Ben Johnson, but what happens if it's not? Who would you think it can possibly go to?
I mean, that in terms of guys we haven't talked about, nobody really. I mean, we haven't interviewed a whole bunch of people. I think Ben Johnson is kind of the leader in the clubhouse. I think we talked to Aaron Glenn, but I just have a feeling that he's basically a lock to go to the Jets. I know he played for the Jets. I think that's I think that's basically a lock as soon as the Lions are done in the playoffs. So I don't even think he's a real contender for the job. So in terms of other people, I guess the top two are probably Ben Johnson and Pete Carroll, to be honest with you. Especially hearing the news that you just broke about how well things went with Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. Like, he doesn't have to move that far, stays in Florida. Like, it's it's a pretty smooth transition there. So I guess the top two are Carroll and Johnson, unless like Vance Joseph comes in there and just like knocks their socks off or something like that. Which I don't think they're going that direction. I think that's more of a fact finding thing. Like, I'm not, I respect Spagnuolo, what he's done as defensive coordinator with the Giants and with the Chiefs, but I don't see him being a head coach, especially not for us. Robert Saleh, that's the name. Hey, interesting, but he just came off of, just got fired, this past season. And, so that might be a situation where, hey, bro, take a year, be a coordinator somewhere for a year, kind of figure yourself out, get your bearings, and then hop back into it. That's essentially what Mike Vrabel had to do. Mike Vrabel didn't even get any coordinator interviews or head coaching interviews. Like, nobody wanted to mess with him. He had to take a consulting job with the Browns. So, but he took that year off, and then guess what? He's one of the hottest names in terms of head coaching candidates. So I think Robert Saleh should kind of follow that same path. So, I guess it's just Carroll and Ben Johnson at this point.
Also, when did Vrabel get fired? Did he get fired? Did he get fired right after the season? Like, he
got fired he got fired right after the season. Because remember, nobody wanted to touch him. And then those interviews came out where there was like, oh, he was like he would intimidate people in the meetings, and yada. So they was they really was trying to dirt him, but it was at that point, the damage kind of already been done.
Did you believe that? Did you believe that?
No, but I'm sure people are. When you're that big of a person, I'm sure people are, and you're an intense guy. I'm sure people can like feel intimidated, but I don't think he's out there like punking people and like bored in these meetings. He's just a big dude that's intense, that's passionate about what he does. But still, he was also coming off an awful year, and nobody wanted to touch him. And he took a year off, right? Like I said, he couldn't even get a coordinator job. Like Robert Saleh went, basically before he even like the ink dried on him getting fired, he was already like working with another team, and he's getting several head coaching interviews this cycle. I don't think anybody's going to hire him, but I think he'll end up being a coordinator somewhere. I think it's already been reported. It's basically a lock that if he doesn't get a head coaching job, Cal Shanahan's going to welcome him back as defensive coordinator. So he'll be a coordinator next year. Take a year, maybe two, and then jump right back into the fray.
Yeah, I think maybe the head coaching opportunities probably dried up because it was a weird time last year because a lot of like known commodities at head coach couldn't get a job, like from the Bill Belichick's, from the Vrabels, yada yada yada. Yeah. And then on top of that, like, I always find it interesting, like when people are on their way out, just news comes out, like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you gotta it could be true, but then at the same time, like, sometimes it's like I feel like it's the team trying to like, because it was a surprising firing. Vrabel getting fired was a little bit of a shock. I know that he went 6-10, but there was a lot of issues with the team. There's still, I felt like it was a surprise when he got fired. So I felt like, it was a lot of smoke going on. Teams kind of put out stuff to make certain, to make sense of their decision. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, okay, they want to control the narrative and how people think of the decision. So why don't we just start throwing dirt on this person's name? We see it all the time. Like it just happens all the time. Like every time, but sometimes it just I think it's just going to take a little bit more time, and then as time goes on, you'll understand like the dynamics of the team, and okay, this is what this really was. It wasn't because this guy couldn't coach or this guy couldn't, because why is that not happening in another place? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, he was fired. Like I said, it was like right after the season. But the situation with Mike Vrabel is that Mike Vrabel and the previous GM, they didn't get along. And that's the guy that traded AJ Brown, I want to say. And then so then they fired the GM. And then they brought in the new GM. And Mike Vrabel and the new GM didn't get along. And it's like, bro, if like fool me once, shame on me. Or shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? Like this is the second time you done gone through this. And
still there? What I was gonna say this. I was gonna add this and say this is that Vrabel, did he even have a chance of hiring of Vrabel? I mean, did Vrabel have a chance of hiring his own GM? I think that might have been the team hiring the GM, and Vrabel didn't really have a say in it. So it could have been a situation like this. I think Severe is frozen here. Hold on 1 second. All right, so we back. So what I was saying with Vrabel, I don't think he had a say in the GM hiring the second time around. So when you start playing matchmaker with GMs and coaches, there's a chance that it's not gonna work out. You know what I mean? Like, so it helps. So that's why I kind of like, even though Tom Telesco, let's bring it back to like the Raiders real quick. Even though Tom Telesco had a really solid draft, Brock Bowers, historic season, yada, 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 he didn't really it's not like he did a terrible job his first year. Definitely deserved to come back. I couldn't understand why Tom Brady went ahead and let him go. Like because we all know Tom Brady right now is running the show. So I can understand like why the Raiders, end up going a different direction with GM and letting him go. Because now you can bring in a coach with a GM at the same time, and then there can be definitely a relationship there. And I'm sure if it's a Ben Johnson, I think he's probably going to have some people in mind that he would want to work with. And, long term, that can equal success, in my opinion. So that's the Tennessee situation. Who cares about Tennessee Titans? But going back to Jed Hughes, man, the dude has a long track record of success, and I think for me, if y'all were paying attention to me at the end of the season, you know what I mean. Like I was super. Let's say I wasn't as positive as some other people. I was just like, you know what, like I'm really didn't agree with how they handled the AP situation and how the season went and yada yada yada. But right now, not gonna lie, there's some hope. And I think the biggest thing that kind of has me excited about this offseason, I think it started with Jed Hughes. Yeah. And how the Raiders are going about picking the head coach and GM. It's not going to be a situation where Mark is going eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I'm going to pick this head coach right here.
Yeah, facts.
He's going to have, some credible people in his ear, not a Ken Herrock, or however you want to pronounce his name. Yeah. He's not a part of that committee. It's literally going to be a known guy that's been picking GMs and head coaches for teams for years, and obviously Tom Brady is going to be helping out as well. I think you said it best the other day. Like, let Tom Brady be the I don't want to say recruiter, the closer. Yeah. Let Tom Brady be the closer. Yeah. I think that's especially for a guy like Ben Johnson, who you know what I mean. Like, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, no, I think he's playing the role as a recruiter as well. I think he's the recruiter and the closer, but he's not the guy. He's not the identifier. He's not the guy that gets this pool of candidates and say, hey, no, this is the pool of candidates we're drawing from. Let Jed Hughes say, hey, you know what? These are the people I've identified that I think are head coaching candidates that will fit your needs as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom Brady can get on the phone and he can make those things happen in places where, you know what, hey, if we didn't have Tom Brady, we don't get an interview with Ben Johnson. If we don't fire Tom Telesco, we don't have a chance at hiring Ben Johnson. So, you know, he's, you know, the candidates are being identified by somebody else, which is important to me because you don't want it to be, you know, as we've seen Mark Davis doing it. You don't even necessarily want it to be Tom Brady doing it. Because there's guys that haven't done it before. You got a guy, as you alluded to, Jed Hughes, who has had some great success in the past. Yes, he's had some misses, but who hasn't had some misses, you know, when you've been doing it for as long as he's been doing it for. So, you know, his track record of success, it's a very good one. So let him identify the proper candidates, and then we bring those guys in the building. And then once we do all the interviews, then let Tom Brady be the guy that closes on it. And especially this situation is even better because there's a clear leader, right? Everybody knows Ben Johnson is the number one guy. Mm-hmm. So if that's the number one guy, let Tom Brady do what Tom Brady does, right? Tom Brady was able to get, you know, Antonio Brown to Tampa. He was able to get Rob Gronkowski out of retirement to Tampa, all to help, you know, win that Super Bowl, right? You know, he was able to get Randy Moss to the Patriots and get him back re-engaged in loving football. Like, let him play that particular role. Like, that's his role. But I don't want him being a guy that's, hey, you know what? These are the candidates we should look at. And that's not you, bro. Once we identify those candidates, you recruit them, you close them. That's your job.
Yeah. And like I said, Jed Hughes makes sense of everything that the Raiders are doing right now. Exactly. Now there's not a lot of now there's not a lot of wondering, like, damn, is Tom Brady gonna be the right guy to lead this? Is you know, we know Michael Jordan was the greatest player in the NBA history, and he didn't make the greatest executive. Is that gonna be a situation where Tom Brady has all this power in the organization and he's just guessing, or, you know, is he going to be making the right moves? But he has the right people in the building. And you know what, Tom, right now, I guess we could segue real quick. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. Man, hey, we like doing this. Make sure to like the video. This is going to be shown on all of our platforms. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Clock in, as we like to say, and like the thumbs, man. Shout out to Big Mike. Let's move it along, man. Let's you know, hey, man, the head coaching GM search it's still going. But obviously I just think that there's probably not going to be a lot of movement with, if the Raiders are targeting Ben Johnson, that means they're going to wait until the Lions are officially done.
Yeah. And
he makes his decision on where he's going. That's how it's going to be looking. And the Lions right now, you can make an argument they're going to be in the Super Bowl. So if that's the case, it's going to be a few weeks before we find out. That being said, let's move it along to, you know, hey, it's around the nation. Around the nation, man. This is what people are talking about all around Raider Nation. We like to focus on the conversation that's happening with fans, and, you know, obviously we follow the team. And what I'm noticing, what I am noticing is the Raiders are making a comeback as the most hated football team right now. They're showing signs, and this is when the Raiders are at their best. When everybody hates the Raiders, you know what I mean, like that's when the Raiders are doing something right. And in this case, people are really mad that Ben Johnson can possibly go to the Raiders. And it's not even just Ben Johnson. It's also Tom Brady. Tom Brady, you know, having access because he's a broadcaster. You know, the media is talking about how, last week we played a clip of some guy saying like, by next year, Tom Brady is going to be out of the broadcast booth. This is a travesty to, he was just talking all that mess. He was doing the most. And it's not just him. It's a few other people. I mean, Mike Florio, take it whatever I know a lot of people are not big Mike Florio people, but he was talking about how this is a big advantage for the Raiders and how he can, get early access on some candidates, certain people, just because he's going to be doing games around the NFL because he's, doing games for, he's broadcasting with Fox, and it's Tom Brady. People naturally are going to be in shock of one of the greatest, if not the greatest player at his position, is for sure at his position. A lot of people are kind of like, hey, man, this is unfair. The NFL needs to do something. I mean, look, just to give you guys an idea of, I'm just going to go ahead and just share this page right here real quick. We got like Jeff Shorts over here saying, waiting a few years for your head coaching job only to take the Raiders job is certainly a choice. Sarcasm. 3 AFC West playoff teams with QBs and coaches who aren't going anywhere. And he's responding to a lot of momentum building for Ben Johnson and Raiders by Vinny. Man, and look, your boy had to come over here and just let him know, man. Stop hating. Stop hating. Yeah. Come on, man. Stop hating. Stop hating, bro. Stop hating, man. And let Ben make his own decision. Just let him make his own decision. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the NFL is competitive. The AFC West, obviously you can make an argument, is the best division in football. You can make an argument. It's tough. I get it. Yeah. But if he was going to be in the AFC, it's going to be tough either way. If he goes to the AFC North, it's going to be tough. Now, can you say that, hey, the AFC West is tougher? Yes, you can say that. I get that. I understand that. But at the end, look, I think, in my opinion, Ben Johnson, he's a smart dude. He's going to look at the bigger picture. He's just not going to look at it like, oh, they have a quarterback. What happens if they have a quarterback, but he's paired up with a GM that he doesn't want to work with, or he's in an organization that he's not going to have all his resources at his disposal. And I think the Raiders right now, and this is what I love to hear. That's what I love to hear. Ben Johnson, he's gonna make the best decision for himself, and it sounds like the Raiders are gonna do whatever it takes to get him on board, whatever it takes. And a guy that Severe, we talked about before, buying a stake in the Raiders, and you identified and said this is a big, huge move. As CEO for Silver Lake, I believe. Yeah. Albert Breer said that's going to help the Raiders when it comes to financial resources.
Exactly.
And obviously Tom Brady being in the building. People, your imagination could go wild when it comes to that combination of Ben Johnson and Tom Brady. Ben Johnson, has one of the best offenses in the NFL the last few years, and then you got one of the greatest quarterbacks in the building who could, hey, he could come down from wherever he's at. Hey, let's. What do you think of this?
Yes.
I mean, like, I think people see that and they're like, why are you picking the Raiders? Why are you picking the Raiders? Because they know what it is. And I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip. This is someone from the Bears media. The Bears fans are mad. They are mad. They're mad because they're like, we got Caleb Williams. We got Caleb Williams. How are you picking the Raiders? They have Aiden O'Connell. Let me go ahead and let's see.
Hey, as you said, when the Raiders were at their best, this is a sentiment around the league, right?
Everybody, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
My team.
He's mad. He's mad. I gotta get a camera on. Why you mad? If you know, man. Hey, Severe, man. What's your take on this, man? Like, look, all this this is familiar territory for Raider fans, especially when the Raiders are good. You know, for me, the moment in time they had that early stretch, the beginning of the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s, that was like and then obviously, every Raider fan has looked at all the NFL films and see the Raiders, in their heyday back in the 60s and 70s or actually the 70s and 80s. But what was your take on all this noise coming from the media, fans, from other teams, just not happy that Tom Brady is influencing a lot of this, or Ben Johnson is choosing to go, or, nothing's official, but like all the reports and signs point to Ben Johnson going to the Raiders. What's your take on this and people getting upset with it?
It's what the old folks say, sour grapes, basically. Right. It's sour grapes, a lot of hating. Look, a lot of what they're saying is true, right? Like, this is a tough division. We don't have a quarterback. Like, all that is true. But like, as you said, let this man make his decision. This is where he want to come. Let him come on here. If he feels that he has what he needs to do the job here, then who is anybody else to tell him that he doesn't? That's my thing. If he feels that he has what the necessary ingredients to build a winning team, or he has the foresight to see, I can get what I need with the GM candidate. I get to choose, which is a huge factor that they're not talking about. Part of the reason why firing Tom Telesco, we said it at the time, like this immediately makes the Raiders' job that much more attractive. Now, is that enough to compete with teams that have quarterbacks in Jacksonville, or potentially have a quarterback in Jacksonville, or potentially have a quarterback in Chicago with Caleb? Is that enough to compete? That remained to be seen. I still thought we were third or fourth on the totem pole, but it doesn't matter what I think. All that matters is what Ben Johnson thinks. And if Ben Johnson looks at the situation and says, hey, I can win there, or I see a path toward winning, or with the organization that they're putting in place, I feel they're building towards something bigger, towards something that's going to have a long-term sustainability. And I want to make sure that I'm at the forefront of that. I'm the leader there. And if I'm the coach that's able to return the Raiders to glory, what that does for me and my legacy, hey, if he sees all that and says that's where I want to be, bro, let him come where he wants to come. Pause.
Pause.
First of all, pause.
Hey, look. I'm glad you caught yourself. Look. Hey, you know what? I think what it is that people are surprised that the Raiders are actually conducting a really good search, and they're going about it the best way possible, and it's catching them by surprise. The fact that like we talked about Jed Hughes, to me I'm like super excited, just because like, hey, we're actually gonna do this right and actually get a good coach in the building that we can be behind, and won't be a situation where, man, did we have Ken Henrock conduct the interview and he never asked McDaniels about his time in Denver? Like, you wouldn't ask that question, a very important question, his first time going around. You're not going to ask how that ended and da-da-da-da. We're not. It's not going to be a situation like that, because you just hired a guy, Jed Hughes, from a firm that has been doing this for a while. And then you got Tom Brady. And, I question it a little bit, because it was a little bit of like, it's not that I question it, it's more like it was a wait and see. But as time goes on, I'm like, man, I could see this working. I can see this working. If it's done right, I could see this working. And you know what? I like what I'm seeing so far, and I think the league, they're surprised that the Raiders are actually going about, like, they're so mad that they're like, someone has to do something. The NFL needs to come in here and they need to, remove Tom Brady from the broadcast booth, because this is an unfair advantage. Look, I love it. All these teams, like y'all really that mad? Like, you got a Chicago Bears fan, y'all really that mad? And the thing is, I think what people are forgetting, people are like, they're quick to point out that we don't have a quarterback. All right, I understand it. We don't have a quarterback. I get that. That coaches would want that. But people try to look at things on paper. But on paper, they're forgetting to mention that, hey, you know what? A big chess move was Tom Brady getting rid of the GM and Tom Telesco, meaning that whoever's coming as a head coach is going to come in with a GM. It's going to come in with a GM that probably is going to have a good relationship with the coach, and they're going to be able to work on building this team. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the Raiders obviously impressed Ben Johnson, because Tom Brady, if it wasn't for Tom Brady, they wouldn't got that interview with Ben Johnson. But when Ben Johnson got the interview, it sounds like he was impressed by what the Raiders were offering and what they were showing him that he was going to have available to him while in Vegas. Obviously, the Raiders are going to have the best facilities in the NFL, best football stadium, the practice facilities. Bill Belichick, I remember when he was visiting, when they had joint practices, and he was able to check out the facilities, the Raider practice facilities in Las Vegas. He was like, he'd never seen anything like that before. And it was like he was just saying all types of high praises when it comes to that, what the Raiders have and what Mark has been able to build over there in Vegas, which we gotta you gotta throw it in there as something that coaches would love to have. On top of that, if you tell a Ben Johnson like, hey, we're gonna do whatever it takes to get whoever you want to trade for this guy, we're gonna get this guy. We got over $100 million in cap space. We intend to use it. We are trying to win. We're trying to win football games. Man, like, I'm telling you, like, I think Ben Johnson, and I forgot who said this, but I think Ben Johnson, he's his whole mindset going into this whole process, because he's been highly coveted the last few years, is you guys have to convince me. As much as I'm going there to interview with you guys, and I'm going to tell you about what I think and what my plan would be, the Raiders kind of went in with a mindset like, hey, we're going to convince you and we're going to show you why you need to come to Las Vegas. And I think they did just that. And why are you mad hey, the league is mad. They're like, oh, the Raiders are actually doing some things right. Oh man, I love it, man. And look, we'll see, man. I want to get hey, look, like I said, I've said this like every other show, or every show since the offseason began. I got Raider PTSD, man. So I don't want to get my hopes up, and I want to be like, there are other good candidates as well. And I'm glad the Raiders are kind of interviewing everybody. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket with Ben Johnson, but obviously we all know who we want as a Raiders coach right now. But yeah, man, it's a good sign. You got fans, you got the media mad, but they're mad because we're getting our way. That's why they're mad. That's really what it is. But
look,
yeah,
man. Look, and for as much as we criticize Mark Davis, there's a plan, man. Mark Davis has a plan, and Mark Davis is using his business acumen finally to help improve the team, right? You brought in Tom Brady and Richard Seymour to help make football decisions, and we already see that's paying dividends, right? Actually bringing in the Jed Hughes, like huge, smart decision right there. Smart. And then Melvin and Durbin, right? Melvin is the real estate development guy. He's the guy that, hey, they're used to developing hospitalities, hotels, luxury properties. Hey, that could be a potential avenue in the future for a different kind of revenue stream. And then you got Durbin, who was the guy that, who was the CEO or co-CEO, and then he's the president for Endeavor. And in Endeavor, they had the relationship with the sports agency. So he has prior relationship tangentially, but prior relationship with all of these free agents being
Right.
represented by the sports agency. So, and at the same time, while he's bringing in these guys to help make these decisions, he's also becoming more liquid, netting hundreds of millions of dollars in these transactions to help spend the money on these GM candidates, on these coaching candidates, on these players' contracts, on potentially improving facilities, maybe adding new training staff, new strength and conditioning coaches. Like he's doing all this at the same time. So I just think that Mark he's finally using his business acumen to help build the team in the correct way. And the most important thing he did was, hey, get the hell out of the way. Get the hell out of the way. Let the football people make football decisions.
We got to give Mark Davis a round of applause, man. We got to give him a round of applause, man, because I'm not gonna lie, I was tough on Mark because it's been a while since the Raiders have won. There's a lot of and he's been the most consistent thing in that building. Is he's been firing everybody else except himself, but I guess in a way he's kind of firing himself.
Exactly.
Meaning removing himself from decision making, and he's following through on what he said last year. Last season, that McDaniel season, we all know how that went. And there was an interview, and there was a part in that interview where he says he knows that he's not his father and he's not that football guy, and we need to get someone in the building that could be that football guy that oversees the GM and the coach. Fast forward, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is that guy.
And Ricky Seymour too.
Marcel Reese I remember on one of our shows we had a Marcel Reese clip where and this is early on in the season when it was official pretty much that Tom Brady was going to be the minority owner of the Raiders, and he mentioned, I think it was Marcel Reese, I forgot what show he was on, but he mentioned that this was something that was a long time coming. Mark has been planning this for a while.
Yeah. And
we all know Marcel Reese has a really close relationship with Mark Davis. He was his right-hand man for a while in that building until Marcel went, they went their different ways, different directions. But I'm sure they still have a close relationship. But I just remember he mentioned that he said that he's been planning this for a while. So we do have to give credit to Mark Davis because this is part of the plan. And I left out another good hire that he had, Bruce Arians with Tampa Bay. Jed Hughes.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's an excellent one.
He was able to put that together. So
yeah, but we want to know how Mark Davis has been planning this for a while. Remember, he started, and this is they're saying he started laying the groundwork early. He got rid of those team presidents, right? He had the team president. He got rid of him. But then he had the interim guy. He got rid of him too. And who did he bring in? Sandra Douglas Morgan, right? Where did she have a past in with the casinos? She had already had relationships already built up with a lot of the decision makers and the big wigs in Las Vegas. So he's putting people in place that have relationships that are going to benefit the Raiders. And then that was more on the business side of things. That's where she kind of stays. But now he's taking that and applying it to the football side of things. So I just think that, hey, you know what? The biggest thing was him acknowledging he doesn't know football, understanding that, and then, doing what was necessary to fully remove himself from that situation. And I think now that he's done that, I think, I think changes are going to come. We already been seeing it. We went from there's no chance in hell we're getting Ben Johnson to it's the most likely outcome to happen. So hey, you got to commit. It takes somebody big to acknowledge, hey, I don't know this. You know, especially when you're supposed to be the boss, you're supposed to be the leader. People look to you like to say, you know what? I haven't done a good job. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me get somebody in here that does. And you know, hey, now he's done it, and kind of let's see where this takes us.
I know that's gonna feel really good if Mark Davis is able to win a Super Bowl. If he's able to win a Super Bowl, I mean, if I'm able to see one, I just need to see one. That's it. I just need to see one.
Man, oh my God, bro. Oh my
I just need
God.
to.
You had no idea.
I need to see one, bro. I've seen championships in my basketball teams. Baseball, I lost hope on that one. I gave up on that one. The A's really need to sell that team. They need to sell that team for sure. But that's a whole different conversation. But I just need to see one Super Bowl, and I'm good.
Man.
I'm good. I don't need to see like back-to-back three-peats. I mean, that would be nice. That's just it'll be icing on the cake. But just give me one, and I think it'll be really gratifying for Mark Davis to win one, just because we all know Al Davis was the Raiders. He created the whole image. He created the mystique. The way he did it, it can't be replicated. It's never been done the way, like the fact that how involved he was from, you know, being a coach, GM, obviously owner, and how involved he was with the Raiders and making them great. We've never seen an owner like that. And you could argue in sports. Mark, he's not his father, but for him to win it his way by like doing it the right way. This is what we wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. I want the structure, because that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing structure. And that's what the Raiders are missing, is because Mark was a little too close. But now that he has Tom Brady, which Tom Brady might be the perfect buffer.
Yeah.
He might be that perfect, like, you know, hey, I got this. Look at these rings. I got this, Mark.
Exactly.
Mark's gonna calm down and be like, okay, yeah, we got the greatest. We got the greatest quarterback in the league.
You got this.
You know what I mean? Instead of Mark just knowing in between Mark and the GM and the coach, and Mark just going straight to the coach and just, you know, we got to fire him, or what are we doing? You know what I mean? He's just way too involved, you know. But the fact that we can get Tom Brady in the building to be that buffer, and then obviously the GM, the coach, and the rest is history. But I gotta give credit to Mark, because I was getting to that point where I'm like, hey, bro, I think you need to sell this team. That's what I was saying at the end of the season. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, hey, look, you need to sell this team. You need to sell this team. But hey, I'm seeing the vision now. I'm seeing it now. Everything is coming together, man. I think Raider Nation should be super excited. I mean, they should be hyped. I'm trying to be even keeled. I'm trying to be calm right now until, you know,
official.
You know, because there's nothing official. Yeah. There's nothing official. Like,
exactly.
And we've seen. We've
been fooled before.
Man, when we feel like they're going right, they go left. We think they're going up, they go down. They always find a way to do something.
Yeah.
But when the Raiders are doing what they're doing right now and adding structure to this team, now they're going to do things the right way, and we're not going to be seeing situations where, the Raiders end up doing this instead, or, you know, it's like, for example, Cliff Kingsbury, that whole situation. Just a perfect example. Exactly. That's just that's typical Raiders stuff happening, where we like, we got Cliff Kingsbury at OC, but then out of nowhere, he rescinded the offer. He ended up going to the Commanders. You know, some stuff like that. Why does that happen with the Raiders? But that's a whole different conversation. Exactly. That's old news. Let's focus on the positive, and the positive is the Raiders are doing the right way, and the NFL's mad. The media's mad. The fans are mad. They're mad, and they're mad because the Raiders are getting their way. That's just to sum it up, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, it's going to be shown on all of our platforms. So if you haven't already, man, make sure to clock in, as we like to say it, man. But yeah, that wraps up Around the Nation. That's pretty much what's been talked about. But it's not the only conversation that's happening. And I think we're going to have to make an extra point. You know what I mean? Y'all already know what it is, what time it is, man. It's extra point. And an extra point is where we have one final thought on this. This is something that, it's kind of old news, last year, last season, last draft. Jaden Daniels, man. I mean, it's kind of relevant. Jaden Daniels is playing like he's going to be one of the ones at his position, quarterback. Was able to win a playoff game. He has a big game against Detroit this week. And Schefter, which actually we should have probably played that clip to segue. Because Schefter was hating too. Let's not. Schefter was hating. He was like, "Why would Ben Johnson consider the Raiders when they have no chance of getting a quarterback like the Commanders got Jaden Daniels? Like, it just doesn't make any sense." I'm paraphrasing, but like he was hating. Yeah. Just to sum it up. Yeah. But one thing that he did say is that the Raiders never made a call to trade up. They never made a call. Which I was like, I was told otherwise. I assumed that they did it, and they said no. And now that I think about that, I'm like, Telesco, goodbye. just
get it, man.
For real, man.
Yeah, because we were told different. We were told the Raiders offered 3 firsts and 2 seconds. Like, I forgot who reported that. That was reported, and that the Commander said. So now it's like, if we find out that Tom Telesco didn't even make the offer, or he told somebody that hey, you know what, this is what I'm offering, and he was lying. Oh, bro, that's such a bad look, man. Yeah, that is such a bad look. So the fact that we didn't even make an offer, even if they would have said no, bro, even if the answer is going to be no, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
And if you don't take that shot on what we know to be a guy that could potentially, we thought at the time he's my QB1. I thought he was going to be a generational player. Antonio Pierce knows him, speaks highly of him. He wants to come to this team. He's going to come here and play hard. So it's like, for you not even to make the attempt, that's malpractice, man. And it's the reason I'm glad this report can come out, because it shows why we fired him, and it should keep him from getting a job in the future for the time being.
Yeah. If there's one thing that you can criticize Telesco about, was how he handled the quarterback position. Like, it was just his aggressiveness to upgrade at that position it was lack thereof. I mean, Gardner Minshew, come on, man. Like, that's nothing to really, right? When we got Gardner Minshew, I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? It is what it is. We're going to draft the QB. That's what I was thinking. No, we're going to draft the QB, but we didn't even draft. We didn't draft nothing. So now I'm like, hold up. You're saying Aiden O'Connell and Minshew are going to be fighting for the starting job? Couldn't believe it, but it is what it is. But I just, look, that could have been a possibility. I think the Raiders at number 6 right now, they need to be aggressive. They're going to want to get a QB, possibly, maybe Shedeur drops to number 6, but I don't think if a quarterback is high on your draft board, the chances are that you wait for that guy to follow you are really slim to none. I think the best case of let's say if Shedeur is their number 1 ranked player, and Shedeur he didn't go pick number 1, number 2, number 3, the Raiders should be on the phone for sure, because that's what other teams would be doing, especially if Dion accepts an offer to be a head coach for the Cowboys, which that's rumor mill right now. Like, it's either that's coming from Dion's camp, or maybe the Cowboys might be looking into it. Who knows? But let's say if that were to happen, you gotta think that maybe the Cowboys would be considering to try to trade up. I mean, where are they picking? Let's see where the Cowboys are picking. I think we checked this out the other day.
Playoffs. I don't know.
12.
Missed the playoffs.
Ooh, they're in. Yeah, they're in Raiders territory. 2024 draft.
Yeah, exactly. Without as many quarterbacks being taken or worth being taken.
Exactly. So, and they're right outside the top 10. So that's like, a lot of teams don't want to, if they're going to trade down, especially from that high, you can imagine what the draft capital would have to look like if they were to trade up. But would you trade down with Dallas if they're offering like what? 3 first-round picks?
It depends on who's on the board.
Shador.
To be honest with you.
Shador.
If Shador's on the board,
that's quarterback for sure. Shador.
Nah, I'm taking him. I think Shador can fit well, especially if Ben Johnson is a coach. If Ben Johnson is a coach, I'm taking him. And if we have like a defensive guy or something like that, then I'll probably consider trading back. Or if it's like Pete Carroll, I'll probably consider trading back. But if it's Ben Johnson, I think Shador's skill set can fit in well with what Ben Johnson does. Shador, he's accurate passer, throws with anticipation, doesn't have the strongest arm, not super mobile, but he's a guy that I think like a lot of his strengths line up well with Jared Goff. And I think him and Aiden O'Connell. I think if you have Shador as your starter, you can keep Aiden O'Connell as your backup still, because Shador isn't really super mobile guy, super run around. So it's not a huge like difference in skill sets from Shador to Aiden. Now, if it's something like Cam Ward is completely different than Aiden O'Connell. So, you may have to go in a different direction as backup quarterback, or you just have to change your offense or your play calls if Aiden O'Connell is ever in the game. So, I think if it's Ben Johnson, I'm sticking and picking with Shador. Or you say trade for Joe Milton?
Yeah, I mean, like if you get Cam Ward, you know what I mean. That's just
me.
Man.
I don't think the Patriots ain't doing that. The Patriots ain't doing it though.
Yeah, that's just me being a fan. You know what I mean? But it's not gonna make any sense for the Raiders at all. I mean, it would make sense, but hear me out. To answer the question I asked you, as far as if the Raiders are at pick number 6, and let's say the Cowboys come calling this, Dion is the head coach or whatever the case may be, Dion. They want to get rid of Dak. They want to get out of that contract. They end up trading him, whatever the case may be. But let's say it don't even have to be the Dallas Cowboys. Well, let's say it's Dallas. They come calling and say, we're going to offer you 3 first-round picks and some change. I wouldn't be mad at taking that offer. Yeah. Because the Raiders still have some need. They still have to upgrade this roster. This is not the most talented roster, especially now that, come to think about it, we have a lot of free agents that we need to re-sign, and I'm not sure if the Raiders are going to re-sign a lot of them, just because, look, incoming new coaching staff, incoming new GM, they're going to probably want to pick up their own guys. It is what it is. That being said, I think if Ben Johnson, because right now we're speaking hypothetically, we don't know for sure, but let's say Ben Johnson is the head coach, I think he wants a veteran at quarterback. The more I think about it, look at the job that he did with Jared Goff. You know what I mean? Look at the job that he did with Jared Goff. Look at how they're going into the playoffs. Instead of going with Hendon Hooker, which is the young up-and-coming QB that they drafted, they end up signing Teddy Bridgewater to be the backup. So he trusts veterans. He doesn't want a young guy at that position. Or I'm not saying that he won't draft a young guy. I'm just saying he's okay with getting a veteran QB. And we didn't mention this. We didn't mention this. Now, around the same time, I was finding out about Telesco not making a call to trade up to number 2 to draft Jaden Daniels. Ben Johnson. Some Ben Johnson news. I don't know how to take this, but we'll talk about it. So Ben Johnson, last head coaching cycle, there was some reports that he could possibly go to the Commanders, and Washington NFL insider, He talks about how that situation went down. There's a conversation about what Ben Johnson would want to do at that quarterback position. Ben Johnson was high on Sam Howell, according to the insider, breaking down the situation. And Adam Peters, the new GM at the time, was like, yeah, pick number 2, we're going with our future QB, Jayden Daniels. And, you know, the rest is history. You know, Ben Johnson decided to come back and be a coordinator for the Lions. So he didn't want to coach Jayden Daniels. And I don't know how I don't know how to take that. That was just like, was that him saying, was that him saying like, nah, Jayden Daniels is not that good a quarterback. He's not the type of quarterback he would want to coach, which is crazy to say because how well he's playing. Or is this a classic case of Ben Johnson really not wanting to be part of that building, and the Washington Commanders, as they're called today, they're just trying to, control the narrative. Oh, this is why, Ben Johnson didn't come, or we didn't interview him or even consider him because he was the leading candidate. He was gonna, if he wanted the job, he was going to be the head coach for the Commanders. They ended up going with Dan Quinn, who's a pretty solid coach. But it could be a possibility that they're trying to control the narrative and then, come out with some stuff to just make Ben Johnson look like he's an idiot. They're like, oh man, like, of course we didn't go with Ben Johnson. He said he didn't want Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's after the fact. But, it's coming from Washington. It's coming from an insider, not a national insider, but a guy that follows the team. That's is an actual, I think he might be a beat writer, but it's hopefully it's not a. I was gonna say something. How do I say this? Hopefully it's not a.
Rajan.
Hopefully it's not Rajan. It's an inside, man. If you know, man. That's we gonna leave it at that. But
man.
But Severe, you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about.
I know. Hey, bro, we on the same page. You're on the same page.
It's a possibility, man. It's a possibility. You never know.
It's a possibility because when I saw it, I was like, tell a little story with a little touch on it.
Yeah.
If Ben Johnson turned on a chance to coach the Commanders, now, like I said, if it's because it's new ownership, this team has a history of dysfunction. I don't know how his rookie owner is going to be. I'm not sure. Hey, you know what? I didn't have any say on who the GM is. I really value, the relationship I'm going to have with the GM. This is somebody I'm unfamiliar with. I'd rather be able to have a hand in selecting the GM. Then that's a different situation. But if it's a situation where, the sticking point is I don't want to coach Jayden Daniels, when in my opinion he was clearly the best quarterback in this last draft, and you're a team that needs a quarterback, I mean that definitely will reflect poorly upon Ben Johnson. That would definitely reflect poorly upon Ben Johnson. Especially if he was like, oh, you know what, I want Sam Howell. Like what? That would be a bad look. But you made a good point. You know what? Maybe the Commanders are just pointing this out to make Ben Johnson look bad. But right. There is another possibility. There is maybe even a stronger possibility. Who do the Lions play in the playoffs?
They play the Commanders. They play the Commanders.
Who would be most motivated? Who would be most motivated by hearing the guy across the sideline didn't want you? He didn't want you so much so that he turned down a head coaching job because you were going to be the quarterback.
That'd be crazy. You know what? I have the clip. It's a short clip. I pretty much said the bulk of what, but maybe y'all could judge the clip for how y'all could take it for however you want to take it. But let me go ahead and play this clip here real quick. I was just and by the way, my initial response is, like I said, I have Raider PTSD. I was disgusted. I was like, oh, please, come on, man. I was just warming up to the idea of Ben Johnson coming to the Raiders, but which, hey, look, this is not an indictment. This is this is a good conversation. So let me go ahead and play this clip.
Story that I got, what happened was they were en route. Adam Peters and them were en route to Detroit for the interview.
Mm-hmm.
In conversation with Ben Johnson, it was brought up that Ben Johnson still wanted Sam Howell. That's who he wanted to be his quarterback for his offense. And, there's Carolina connections, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Peters was like, no, because they know who they're going to draft. And we all knew who they were going to draft. And he didn't want him. So if anybody should be upset, it should be Jaden. So what I'm saying is, and kudos to Adam Peters for holding his guns and saying, no, we know who we're drafting, and that's who you're going to have to build with. And that's the story that I got. So
it was Adam wanted to roll with Sam Howell.
Yeah, it was Adam Peters that said turn that plane around. yeah, man. Yeah, it was Adam Peters said no. So we agree to disagree, and I wish you well. Turn this thing around. So yeah. So
yeah, that's pretty much the clip. I mean, I don't think I left any details from there, but take that for however you want to take that. But it's interesting, like you said, like this news is coming out, and there's a playoff game. We're hearing this story, and there's a playoff game against the Commanders. So, and we know Jaden Daniels is a very self-motivated guy, because it's very ironic that the guy that was mentioned, Adam Peters, was also a guy that motivated Jaden Daniels. I think you told me this story.
Yep.
You know what I mean? This story in college where he told him he would be he told him he would be a 5th round pick, a later round pick, or something like that.
Yeah, like a 6 or something like that.
And obviously, the rest is history. He was a Heisman winner, had a great college season, went number 2 in the NFL draft and drafted by the guy that doubted him. So hey, it could be a lot of different things, but hey, at the end of the day, it just has me thinking, because I'm thinking of Jared Goff. I'm thinking about the move to get Teddy Bridgewater. I'm thinking about them talking about this, and the reason why I brought up this story was because I was thinking about like what they said about Sam Howell, also a veteran QB at this point. I'm like, he probably wants a veteran QB to start. He wants a starter, and then he might draft a guy, but he's going to be probably on the bench. And I think when you got a Tom Brady who's been really vocal about the quarterback position and how it needs to be developed, that they're not teaching it the right way, they're not giving time for the quarterback to develop, it can make a whole lot of sense where Tom Brady and Ben Johnson can look eye to eye and be like, yeah, we're going to get a young QB, but we're going to have him sit the bench. But in the meantime, we're going to have a bridge starter, or, whoever the starter would be for the Raiders. It could be a Sam Howell. It could be Hendon Hooker, if they make a trade for him. I think the Raiders are going to be active in the trade market to get their quarterback, because free agency, I'm hoping we don't go after Sam Darnold. Please, Raiders, do not do that. I don't care if we got Ben Johnson back there. I don't want no Sam Darnold to wear. I don't want him to wear no Raider uniform.
That's the Raider thing to do, though.
Please let it be somebody else. Let someone else take that risk. You know what I mean? Because I don't think the way he finished the last couple of games he had to finish his season with the Vikings, he didn't end in a high note. And then the way Kevin O'Connell was talking in the presser, he kind of made it seem like, oh man, good luck to you.
Yeah.
it sounded like, you know, he was ready for Sam Darnold to go to a different team. So, you know, I just hope that it's not the Raiders. But yeah, man. Hey, look, that's pretty much Extra Point. Appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. Yeah, man. Hey, look, it's that time, man. It's you know, we're not counting this week because, you know, Severe, he ended up winning the regular season. You know what I mean? Like, his hat is on the way. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, it is.
Whatever. Hey, look, man. We gonna have a rematch next season. You know what I mean? But we're gonna go ahead and talk about NFL playoffs real quick. Just pick out the games real quick. So, and we just talked about the Commanders and Lions. I guess we'll start with there. Who you got?
Yeah. And you know what? I think the Lions gonna win, but you know what? I'm picking the Commanders. Picking the Commanders, man. I think I want our coach in house quicker. So I want our coach here with the team, man. Go Commanders.
Okay. Yeah, man. I think the Lions, man. I think the Lions are on a mission right now. I'm gonna go with the Lions. But if the Commanders win, hopefully, Ben, offensively they put on a show. Like it's a high scoring game and has us Raider fans excited. You know what I mean? As they lose the game, and like, man, this is the type of offense that, you know, Ben is gonna get or gonna have. And that's another thing too. Ben wants everything that he has in Detroit. Yeah. And what does he have in Detroit? That run game, that offensive line. So he's going to want to he's going to want to upgrade the offensive line. I can see us drafting 2 running backs. With Ben Johnson, it's all about the run game. So I can see us.
Bro, look, we might go we're not running back. We might go offensive line at 6.
I wouldn't be mad at
offensive line at 6.
I wouldn't be mad at that. And if we do,
that's what they did with Penei Sewell.
And if we do, man, that solidifies our own line for years. Like I think we can have a really good own line. We already obviously have JPJ, Glaze looks promising. Colton is solid. I mean, he's on his last year of his deal.
Yeah.
So
just pay him.
But if we end up drafting a guy at tackle, if you're drafting him at high, that means you could easily slide him to the left side if need be. If negotiations go left.
That is true. Or you can do, look, this is what I said before. I've said this, you know, previously. If we draft one of those tackles, you can slide. A lot of people, they have projected DJ Glaze as a guard in the NFL. So you draft a Will Campbell, put him at right tackle. You draft Banks and you put him at right tackle, and you slide DJ Glaze to guard. That then you're removing your weakest link on the offensive line outside Andre James, which is Dylan Parham. You got JPJ at center. Jordan Meredith held his own at left guard.
What happens?
And then you done solidify your offensive line.
What happens if our biggest free agent signing is Trey Smith from the Chiefs? Oh my God. O-line it's official. It's official. It's official. It's official. But I can see the O-line is definitely going to be upgraded if we get Ben Johnson for sure, without a doubt. And also the running back room is going to improve. And I love the fact that they got their Thunder and Lightning going on with the Detroit Lions. And I think the Raiders, we've been talking about it. Like, hey, man, we've been talking about it. We've been like, hey, man, it'd be nice if we can get a physical running back and a Thunder and Lightning, that Darren McFadden, Michael Bush. If you Raider fans, y'all remember that? That was a nice little solid little room for a year or two. You know what I mean? Take that for however you want to take that. But there's some options. Wheatley and Garner, you know? Yeah. Like, man, if the Raiders can go ahead and this be a perfect draft. Man. To do that. And obviously, you mentioned, I think we talked about it too. We're looking ahead at the free agency. We looked at Nick Chubb is going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
You give him a cheap 1-year deal because he's hurt. Running back, his market is not going to be too huge. Most likely, he could possibly just come back to the Browns, but he could be intrigued by the Raiders. New change of scenery, comes back, just fresh off an ACL injury that takes about a year or two to recover from.
Yeah,
that'd be a nice little veteran running back goodbye Zamir White, goodbye whoever.
Everybody, goodbye Zamir White, goodbye Sincere, goodbye Madison.
Man,
look, all of these fools, y'all got to kick rocks. Goodbye Collier. I don't know why you even playing. Look, and if y'all want to check out, I've been talking about Travion Henderson. On the 20th, Ohio State they take on Notre Dame. That could be potentially. And this dude, I've been saying, a lot of people have been telling me, there's two guys I said early on. I said Jackson Dart was one of my guys, and I said Travion Henderson was one of my guys. All of a sudden, these guys are climbing draft boards. So then you know what? You get a chance to look at Travion Henderson on the national stage.
If we go. Okay, if we go offensive line in the first round, let's go back to that. Let's go back to that conversation real quick. I like where this conversation is going because this is prime time off-season conversation, man. If you haven't already, make sure to click in, like the button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If the Raiders get offensive line at number 6, quarterback number 2 in the second round, are we taking a quarterback?
I think it depends on how they feel about the quarterbacks in that round. If it's because a guy like Jackson Dart fits Ben Johnson really well. He's a guy that he has mobility. He has, not crazy strong arm, but he's just strong enough arm to make just about every NFL throw. He has good accuracy, throws with good anticipation, can throw from different arm slots, different arm angles. So you can do some stuff where if you want to move him around, you can do some stuff and he can still make those kind of throws. He's mobile enough, but he's not a run first guy. He's tough, a good leader, charismatic. That's something we heard, that the Raiders or that Jed Hughes looks for when he's looking for a guy to lead an organization. That's something that Jackson Dart has at the quarterback position. Outside of Shador, he's probably the toughest quarterback in this class. But maybe Ben Johnson likes some other guys later on. You see how he really likes Sam Howell. So you kind of don't know. You don't know what he would prefer. So if there's some guys that he liked later on, and he says, you know what, if I want to get a wide receiver in round 2, or I want to get, hey, I want to go after a running back in round 2. Hey, maybe he likes Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Maybe he likes, Amarian Hampton. I think he might slide in round 2. Maybe he likes Ollie Gordon at OK State. Travion Henderson, I think he may be available round 3. But hey, I wouldn't hate taking Travion Henderson in round 2. He's a guy that he's a home run hitter as a pass catcher and as a back. So maybe he wants to go that direction in round 2 and have a guy that can be his Jahmyr Gibbs in his offense, right? So you never know. It just depends on how Ben Johnson feels about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and like I said, man, I just had this feeling, man. If Ben Johnson is the head coach for the Raiders, I think he's going to upgrade that quarterback position by trading for a veteran quarterback. I think that's where he's going to go with. Yeah. I think that's what he's comfortable with. Yeah. And even with Tom Brady in the building,
that's another guy.
Yeah. That's the Thunder. That's a Thunder, and he got some speed to him.
Yeah,
he got some speed to him. I mean, it's not elite. Yeah. It's not elite, but he can get he can get active when
he gets moving. He gets moving.
He move. He breaks some tackles. You got to break some tackles for sure. That would be a Thunder. And then, look, this would be a perfect draft. We talked about it before. Perfect draft to get a couple of running backs, a Thunder and Lightning combination. And when you pair that with Ben Johnson, you could see that happening for sure. Just because, obviously he's going to want to develop that running game because he loves to play that play action. Has to be effective and have that. You got to make it a threat. Hopefully we don't take a running back early. I don't think the Raiders are in a situation. I don't think we're at a place where we can do that. Because Detroit did. Detroit. If you remember, they drafted
Jahmyr Gibbs.
I think they drafted him. Was it number 9 or number 10? Somewhere near the top 10. It was high.
I don't
higher
remember.
than I thought he was gonna go. I thought I thought it was gonna be like in the 20s or something like that. There's people who are that liked him coming out, but I didn't think he was gonna get close to the top 10. I mean, it wasn't like Bijan Robinson or anything like that, where he had a lot of hype or whatever. But man, the Raiders can go a lot of different directions. Right now, we're just thinking about the possibility. But let's get back to what do you think of Will Howard? Ohio State quarterback. Yeah.
I'm not really high on Will Howard, to be honest with you.
You don't like him?
Yeah, I don't hate him, but it's not like a guy that I'm like, oh, but I really like Will. And it's like, Will.
Damn.
he has a hope. Yeah. He's okay.
Man, Bleacher Report their comparison is Mason Rudolph. That's disgusting. That's your NFL comparison.
Rudolph? What's the play? What's the player? What the player count? Because for Jackson Dart, I said Baker Mayfield. I think you asked me before. That was my count for Jackson Dart. Who's Bleacher Report have him as?
Let's go. Let's see.
Did they have him as? Is that Derek Carr? Was it the one he had? Derek? Is that the one?
It might have been Derek Carr. I think they said I think they said a poor man's Derek Carr. No, I'm just playing. Man, hey, Bleacher Report.
I say Baker. He doesn't have the arm strength that he doesn't have the arm strength of Baker, but he has all those other qualities of Baker.
But Bleacher Report's comparisons are kind of ruthless. They don't be handing out like comparison where like, oh, he plays like Steve Smith, he plays like Randy Moss. Like they're gonna like compare you to like like probably one of the worst
Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah. Oh, this is random. They said she said shades of Carson Wentz with less arm strength.
For Jackson Dart?
For Jackson Dart.
Oh, that's kind of nasty. That's kind of nasty.
He said he plays like Carson Wentz, but with less arm strength. And he's smaller too, because Carson Wentz is like what 6'4", 6'5". He's a big guy.
Wentz, Wentz is a big guy.
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
Yeah. But
that's terrible.
That's bad. That's bad, man. But going back to the playoffs, Texans Chiefs this Saturday. Who you got? Oh, by the way, I said Lions. I said Lions are gonna win. If the Commanders win, hopefully it's a good offensive showing. So it leaves a great memory for us. Be like, we're getting the right guy. Because if the Commanders win like 35-0, it's gonna be like, damn, like.
Yeah, especially the Commanders have a terrible defense. Their defense is horrible.
Right.
So, bro, if you got there struggle against,
I know.
That would be a bad look.
I know. But another Saturday game is the Texans and Chiefs. Who you got?
You know what? I'm gonna go Texans, man. I'm gonna go Texans. I don't want to. I can't pick the Chiefs, man. I don't want to pick the Chiefs. It's nothing at stake anymore. So I can just pick who I want now.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm hoping the Texans win, but I seen something crazy. That the internet has be having crazy stats. They be like, the guy that's refereeing this Chiefs and Texans game, the Chiefs are undefeated when he refs the game. It's like
I think Joe Mixon is banged up too. I think I just saw that earlier.
Yeah. It's probably gonna be super cold out there. You know what I mean? On the road, KC. That's gonna be a tough environment. But I hope the Texans win because we hate the Chiefs. Let's be honest. We hate the Chiefs. That's the team that we hate the most. But they've been dominating, and right now they're getting healthy at the right time, and it's just like, damn, man, I don't want to see a three-peat. I just don't want to see that. Don't want to see that.
If there was something at stake, I'd pick the Lions and the Chiefs, but it ain't. So I'm going Commanders and Texans, baby.
There you go. There you go. So we got Ravens and Eagles Sunday. No, I'm sorry, my bad. Rams and Eagles.
I say the Ravens, like that may be a Super Bowl, but
Yeah, super matchup right there, huh?
Man, this is actually pretty tough.
Yeah,
actually pretty tough. I'm gonna go Eagles. Jalen Hurts had a nasty game, and they still won. I just feel that Jalen Carter, he's a monster in the middle. I think he's gonna be able to shut down the run game and be able to apply pressure to Matthew Stafford. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. It's gonna be a close game though.
I'm gonna go upset, man. Sean McVay, I think he's the better coach. I think Stafford Stafford might be the better quarterback. I think he might be the better quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts
saw from Jalen Hurts.
Because Jalen Hurts hasn't been the same QB since Steichen left. That year he was dominating. Ever since that year, it's kind of been like up and down. Like, what are we gonna get from Jalen Hurts? We all know he's a great leader for that team. I think this year they got better offensively, and I think Jalen Hurts is not that. He's not. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I think it helps that you have Saquon. I think Saquon, when you get someone like that in free agency, it's because you're like, we don't want to put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. We want someone dynamic. We want to get someone that can help take some pressure off on Jalen Hurts and run the football. I mean, and guess what? The dude ran for 2,000 yards. Man,
but even more so, the Rams are really light in the front seven. And last time because they're predicated on rushing the passer. And last time they played the Eagles, Saquon ran for like 255 yards. So,
true. Man, now you say it like that, and NFL playoffs is all about the football. You got to be able to run the football in the playoffs. Ooh, yeah, but I'll stick to the Rams. For some reason, they're under the radar. No one is like really talking about them, but
they started
1-4. They started 1-4, but they're one of those sneaky teams. But I'm gonna pick an upset. There's gonna be an upset. I think there might be an upset this weekend. So
definitely, no.
I'm picking the Rams. I'm
not mad at that pick at all.
We got Ravens and Bills. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Ravens, man. I think Lamar Jackson has been hearing how Josh Allen is the MVP all this time. I think he's not happy about it. I think Derrick Henry is a monster too. Zay Flowers being hurt, that's kind of tough there, but I think the Ravens have enough to still get the job done.
Yeah, this is one of those games where I can see go either way. You can make a case. You know what I mean? Because the Bills haven't been really talked about. And then also the Ravens, you can see, is it their time? Is it their time for the Ravens to make a run, get to the Super Bowl, and get a ring for Lamar, or Lamar get a ring? Because he's had the MVP season. He's had the regular season success, but it's time to solidify like his greatness by winning the big game, or getting to the Super Bowl and winning the big game, because he hasn't even gone to the Super Bowl yet.
No.
So, yeah. So I got the Ravens, man. I think Ravens. I think they were my Super Bowl pick as far as getting there. I think what I had, the Ravens and Lions.
Yeah.
The way the NFL works is it's usually the hottest team going in. But we'll see, man. I got the Ravens edging this out, but I can see the Bills winning it too.
Yeah, definitely.
I can see it happening because Josh Allen's no slouch. The Bills are hungry. They're also a team that like. Yeah, go ahead.
James Cook has been running really well too.
Exactly, they're a lot more balanced, especially with Stephon Diggs leaving, and now they're like more. Their identity is a little bit more, run the football, but also, obviously Josh Allen's going to do his thing. I just could see the Bills also winning this just because they've been that team that's been going to the playoffs and just losing to the Chiefs, losing like it could easily be their time as well. Like they Ravens and Bills have kind of the same type of story right now. Both Josh Allen and Lamar right now, they kind of been under Mahomes' shadow. Mahomes and the Chiefs have been dominating, and like they're like, hey, it's our time. I think hopefully I think that this potentially could be the best game in the playoffs. Best game in playoffs so far. Either possibly. This or the Lions and Commanders, possibly. But I don't know, man.
They got the Commanders favored by like almost 10 points. The Lions favored by almost 10 points in that game, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
Disrespect.
Yeah,
disrespect right there.
Yeah. It's probably because the inexperience of the team. You know, it is what it is. They're a younger team. They got Jane Daniels. He's a young QB. I'm sure like the Lions. But are the Lions even healthy on defense? You know, they're kind of banged up too as well. They lost like their big time pass rusher early in the season. So, hey man, Jaden Daniels could look at this game and be barbecue chicken everywhere on the football field just because, like, you know, especially what we talked about earlier, like he's gonna be super motivated. So it can go either way. But let us know in the chat, man, how y'all feel about I'm sure you guys are tuning in and letting us know who you guys would pick for the games. Let us know your Super Bowl picks. All that good stuff. Man, we appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Like I said before, you guys are going to be seeing this on all of our platforms. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that like button. But Severe, man, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
You guys know what it is. At the Severe Raider on YouTube, IG, X, Snapchat. I would say TikTok, but I think that thing about to be over. So they about to put that ban in, so they don't even look for me over there.
Man.
But yeah, man, you know what it is. You know, Around the Shield every Friday. You know, my guys, Big Mike and Pharaoh. You know, of course, I got the 50-50 show. My guy Pharaoh. Then, you know, I got some film study stuff coming out with 805 and Chris. It's gonna be Tuesdays as well. We're gonna start looking at some film on some of these college prospects. But you know, before we get out here, man, make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you hit the subs, and make sure y'all stop by the 50-50 shop, man. Get y'all stuff. So get yourself some merch, man. Treat yourself. 2025, man. Treat yourself.
There you go. Yeah, hey man, I could have said it better myself. Hey, we do this every week, man, Around the Shield. And yeah, be on the lookout, man. We're gonna be doing more collabs. Be on the lookout, man. It's the off season. We're excited. I'm sure Raider Nation is excited. So we're gonna do more collabs with everybody. So make sure to tune in. Around the Shield every Friday's episode drops. And sometimes we might do some special edition live shows for Around the Shield. But definitely 50-50 show every Tuesday with me and Severe. Is definitely going to be a live show. But yeah, like I said, just tune in. We're going to have some collabs. We're going to have some guests. Let us know in the chat who you guys would like to see in the comment section. We'll try our best to make that happen. Also, leave a comment, man. Let us know your thoughts, man. How you guys are feeling about the hate the Raiders are receiving. Ben Johnson and the possibility of him being the head coach. You know, who you would like at defensive coordinator, because obviously when you get an offensive coach, that defensive coordinator job becomes a little bit more important, because now you have to figure out, all right, who's going to be running that defense. But nothing's official. Nothing is official. But if it's not Ben Johnson, who would you like it to be? Let us know in the comment section. Also, yeah, man, and what should we do in the draft? I know it's a little early for that, but it's not. It's the off season, so we're gonna look ahead. The Raiders are picking number 6. Should the Raiders trade up and get a quarterback? Should they pick a quarterback at number 6 if available, or do we trade down if that's a possibility? You know, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not as excited about this QB draft as I've been in previous drafts.
Yeah.
If there's a possibility that we can get a blue chip player at number 6 that's not a quarterback, I wouldn't be mad at that. You know, the Abdul Carters, the Mason Grahams,
Will Johnson.
I know that wide receiver that you're high on,
Tetaroa.
T-Mac. Yeah. There's a few other guys there too as well that can possibly drop because when quarterback, when the draft approaches, that quarterback position is always going to skyrocket. It's always going to happen, right? Or we trade down. We trade down. If there's a quarterback at that spot, I mean, Shador is right there, number 6. If we're not high on Shador because we addressed our quarterback position in a trade and we feel like we can get a quarterback maybe in the second round, or if we trade down and let's say Dallas is calling, hey, man, I wouldn't be mad at trading down if Dallas is over here talking about we'll trade the next 3 first-round picks plus the second-round pick this year. I'm like, hey, let me – come on down, man. Hey, look, man. Man, and also, man, like, shout out to all the haters, man, especially Adam Schefter. He's like, I can't see the Raiders upgrading and doing what the Commanders are doing this season and man. I hope that the Raiders are taking notes. It's early in the offseason, so some of the players that are currently on the team, they're paying attention. But I hopefully whoever the coach is, they're gonna use this as motivation. And hopefully the Raiders, have a great season next season. But right now it's the off season, and we're excited, man. So make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and also follow us on IG Around the Shield as well. 50/50 shop, like Severe said, the link will be in the chat and also in the description. Man. Hey, appreciate everybody coming through. Any last thoughts, Severe, before we head out?
Go Commanders. Go Commanders.
Go Commanders. Man, that's so selfish, man. We want our head coach to be hired already, man. We want him to be hired. We want the official news so we can just laugh and point at everybody that's mad that Ben Johnson chose the Raiders, man. But man, appreciate everybody coming through. We'll be back here next Tuesday. Appreciate y'all, man. Peace.
7-3.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.